After 43 years of raising her, I realized I mattered less than a vacation and a diamond. I used to believe I understood the kind of heartbreak life could offer. I've lost a husband, outlived close friends, even watched the farm grow quiet after the kids moved out. But nothing, not even grief, prepared me for the moment my daughter handed me that gift. It was Mother's Day. I was sitting in Sylvia's perfectly manicured backyard, watching laughter ripple through a crowd that didn't include me. Jenna had invited me the night before. Her tone was stiff. "We're having brunch at Sylvia's tomorrow, 1 o'clock sharp." Not. "We'd love to see you," not. It would mean a lot, just a formality. I showed up right on time, wearing the pale blue sweater Jenna once said brought out my eyes. I stood at the edge of that crowd, invisible. And then came the gifts. Sylvia, her mother-in-law, opened a small velvet box. Inside, God help me, was a diamond ring that sparkled so fiercely it caught the light across the yard. Jenna hugged her tight, saying, "It's not too much for the woman who raised such a wonderful man." She was glowing with pride. Then it was my turn. Jenna walked over with a thin paper bag. Inside, a plastic daisy and a drugstore card. The printed message read, "Happy Mother's Day." And beneath it, just 7 words in her handwriting, "Thanks for everything, Mom." I smiled. I said thank you. I even pretended it didn't sting. But inside, something cracked. You spend your whole life pouring yourself into your child's sleepless nights, scraped knees, college tuition moral support, hot meals gone cold, waiting for them to come home. And in the end, they give you a $5 flower and a line that could have been written to a grocery clerk. That moment, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the ring or the cruise or the applause Sylvia got. It was about being seen, about feeling like I mattered. And in that moment, I realized I didn't. Not to Jenna, not really. That plastic daisy became more than a gift. It became a mirror. And what I saw staring back at me made me question everything: my role as a mother, my worth as a woman, and what my life had actually built. And that was the beginning of everything that followed. I wish I could say that brunch was just awkward. I wish I could write it off as a misunderstanding or tell myself Jenna was simply overwhelmed. But I can't, because what happened that day wasn't a moment, it was a message. Let me take you back to that Sunday afternoon. Sylvia's garden looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine, wisteria in full bloom, delicate string lights woven through the arbor tables, dressed in white linen and floral centerpieces, tall enough to block conversation. The lake shimmered just beyond the lawn, as if even nature had been invited to admire Sylvia's perfect life. She moved through the crowd with effortless grace. Her silver bob perfectly styled her laughter, light but calculated. She was radiant in a coral dress that probably cost more than my entire outfit. People leaned in when she spoke. They called her Mama Syl, like she was some sort of Southern royalty. And maybe she was, at least to them. When I walked through the gate, no one turned their head. Jenna spotted me and gave a little wave from across the patio. "Hi, Mom," she called. "You can sit over there." She pointed to a chair on the far end of the long table near the caterer's prep station. I nodded and smiled, even though my chest tightened. I felt like an outsider at my own family celebration, but I told myself not to take it personally. "Be gracious," I whispered to myself. "Be grateful she even invited you." I sat in that chair and watched as Jenna leaned into Sylvia's ear, sharing whispered jokes that made them both laugh until their eyes crinkled. Watched as Clay, my son-in-law, flipped steaks on the grill like he was born into this world of wine tastings and curated Instagram memories. Watched as even the neighbors' toddlers ran straight into Sylvia's arms. And then, just after dessert, Jenna stood up and clinked her glass. "I want to do something special," she said, her eyes glowing, "for the woman who has become my second mother." She walked over to Sylvia and handed her a velvet box. Clay followed with a large white envelope. Sylvia opened the box first and gasped. It was a diamond ring, one of those vintage cushion-cut ones that sparkle like fire in the sun, the kind of ring that catches your breath even before it catches the light. Sylvia's hands trembled as she held it up for everyone to see. "Oh, Jenna," she whispered, voice cracking. "It's too much." "No," Jenna said, beaming. "It's exactly what you deserve for raising such a kind, generous son." Then she opened the envelope. First-class cruise tickets. 2 weeks, the Mediterranean. The guests applauded. Clay kissed his mother's cheek. Someone popped champagne, and I just sat there smiling so hard it made my teeth ache. Then Clay turned to the rest of the group. "And now for Grandma Margaret," he announced with much less fanfare. Jenna walked over to me holding a small bag. It was wrinkled as if it had been reused. Inside a plastic daisy, the kind you might find in a gas station gift aisle, and a generic greeting card that read, "Happy Mother's Day." Underneath, she'd scribbled, "Thanks for everything, Mom." That was it. No hug, no eye contact, just that. I held that flower in my lap while everyone around the table averted their gaze. Even Sylvia looked uncomfortable. I said thank you. I smiled. I even made a joke about daisies being my favorite flower, though they aren't. But inside, I felt like I had just been erased. 43 years of being her mother and I was worth a plastic daisy and an afterthought. I couldn't taste the rest of my food. I could barely feel my hands. I stared at that fake flower like it had spoken some kind of truth I wasn't ready to hear. And maybe it had. Maybe that gift was the clearest reflection of where I stood in Jenna's heart. Not cherished, not admired, not remembered with warmth, just obligated. That brunch, that garden, those gifts, they were a ceremony. And I wasn't the guest of honor. I was the ghost at the table. I stayed another hour listening to stories I wasn't part of, watching Jenna lean into Sylvia again and again. At one point, I noticed she was wearing earrings I had given her years ago. She must have forgotten. When I finally stood to leave, Jenna barely looked up from her conversation. "Thanks for coming, Mom. Drive safe." I walked back to my truck, clutching that plastic daisy like a child holding the last piece of something broken. The drive home was a blur of wheat fields and fences I didn't remember passing. All I could see was that ring, those cruise tickets, and the glow in Jenna's face when she gave them. When was the last time she'd looked at me like that? I pulled into my driveway, parked under the big maple tree Harold had planted before he died, and just sat there. In silence, in shame, in something I didn't even have words for yet. And I knew deep in my bones that something had shifted forever, not because of a gift, but because on that day in front of the people who mattered most, my daughter chose another woman to honor, and she chose me, to forget. That night I didn't sleep, not a minute. I sat in my kitchen, the plastic daisy on the counter in front of me like some cheap monument to a life I no longer understood. The house was still just the tick of the old wall clock and the hum of the refrigerator, the same one Harold insisted we buy before the old one fully died. Even in his final years, he planned for the things that mattered. I think he knew in his quiet way that one day I'd be alone. And I was. Alone. But not just physically. Alone in the way only a mother can be when she realizes that everything she gave may not have been seen at all. I pushed back from the table and walked down the hallway to my study Harold's old office before he passed. I hadn't touched his filing cabinets in years, not really, but that night something in me stirred. Not anger, not yet, just a need to understand, a need to see it in front of me, what I had given, what had been forgotten. The first drawer was labeled Jenna, college. I opened it and the flood came pouring out. Every tuition statement, every receipt for housing, food, stipends, textbooks, that new laptop she desperately needed her junior year. Parking tickets I'd paid without ever mentioning them. Even a note she wrote me once after I sent her a care package just 3 lines long and ending with "Thanks, Mom. Love ya." I added the numbers together with a calculator that still had Harold's handwriting on the back. $52,000, just for college. The next drawer was labeled wedding, J&C. I had almost forgotten I paid for the entire thing. That sprawling vineyard wedding with 200 guests and a string quartet. The dress, the flowers, the open bar Jenna insisted on. The photographer from California. I paid the bills because I wanted her to have one perfect day, because I thought that's what mothers did. $60,000, all of it mine. Clay's parents brought wine, one case. The third drawer made my chest tighten. Mortgage and house. I co-signed when they wanted to move into that upscale neighborhood on the edge of town. They couldn't qualify on their own. 2 years later, Clay's landscaping business hit a slump, and I stepped in 6 months of mortgage payments. Quietly. No one ever knew. I made sure of that. 3 different vehicles followed each, just until we get back on our feet. But those loans, they never circled back. They just disappeared into my monthly budget. And then there was the emergency folder. In 2019, Clay called Jenna from the ER. Not because he was hurt, but because his company was hemorrhaging cash. Bad investments, poor hiring choices, tax penalties. He was on the verge of bankruptcy. Jenna showed up at my door, tears in her eyes, trembling like a teenager again. "We need help, Mom," she said. "Please." I wired $90,000 that same afternoon. No contract, no repayment plan, just faith, just love, just stupid, stupid hope. By the time I closed the last folder, the sun had started to rise over the fields. I looked down at the stack of documents, the scribbled receipts, the neat columns of numbers. I added it all up, over $400,000, $400,000, given freely, quietly, unquestioned, and in return, a $5 flower and a thank you card that could have been meant for a stranger. I sat there staring at the number glowing on the calculator screen, and something in me snapped, not in a dramatic way, not like glass shattering, but like a worn rope finally giving out. The kind of break you don't hear until the weight drops. I had never kept those files to tally up favors. I never tracked the money because I never believed I'd have to. Love isn't supposed to require proof. Mothers aren't supposed to keep score. But sitting there with dawn creeping through the curtains and my heart splintering open, I realized something hard and cold. They never asked for the total, because they assumed it was infinite. They never offered repayment, because they never saw it as a debt. And somewhere along the way, I had taught them that I didn't need gratitude, that I didn't need care, that I was the giver, the provider, the steady backup generator always humming in the background. I had erased myself from the equation of my own love story. It wasn't just the money. It was the forgetting, the invisibility, the casual expectation that I would always be there until I wasn't. For the first time in my life, I felt the edges of rage, not the kind that burns fast, but the kind that simmers, slow, heavy, sharp, and beneath that rage, something even more unfamiliar, a desire to reclaim something, not the money. That was gone, and frankly, I didn't miss it. What I wanted was myself. By the time the sun had fully risen that morning, I was no longer the same woman who went to bed the night before. I had spent the night face to face with 40 years of silent sacrifice, staring down line items that spelled out my love in dollars, interest rates, and forgotten receipts. I had thought the weight I carried was just part of being a good mother, but now it didn't feel like love anymore. It felt like bondage, quiet, generational, soul-draining bondage, and I wanted out. So I picked up the phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in years for anything other than taxes or wills. Ruth Haynes came the warm, steady voice of my longtime attorney, one of the few people in my life who'd always spoken to me as if I were someone who mattered. "Ruth, it's Margaret," I said, my voice steady but low. "I need to make an appointment. Today, if possible." She paused. "Of course. Is everything okay?" I looked at the plastic daisy still sitting on my kitchen counter and whispered, "Not exactly." By 2 o'clock that afternoon, I was sitting across from Ruth in her office, overlooking the town square, just a few blocks from the farm consultancy business I had built from scratch over 3 decades. My name was still etched on the glass of that brick building, Ellis Agricultural Solutions. I'd poured half my life into that company. It fed my family. It gave jobs to my neighbors. It even earned a few plaques on my wall. But I wasn't there to reminisce. Ruth brought me tea and sat down, her face searching mine. "Margaret, you look tired." I nodded. "I am, but not from lack of sleep. I'm tired of carrying people who don't see me. I'm tired of being the safety net for everyone's bad decisions." Ruth leaned forward, her expression soft. "What's going on? I want to sell the business," I said plainly. She blinked. "You want to? Margaret, you've spent 30 years building that company. It's your legacy." I took a long breath, and then I told her the truth. "That's the problem, Ruth. My legacy has become their lifestyle." She didn't respond right away. She just sat there listening the way a good lawyer and an even better friend does. I laid it all out. The financial records, the co-signed loans, the silent bailouts, the passive indifference. I told her about the ring, the cruise, the $5 daisy, and the moment it all snapped into focus. When I finished, Ruth nodded slowly. "And you're thinking that selling the business will—" What exactly? I want to know who Jenna is when she's not leaning on me. I want to know what Clay does when there's no net underneath him. I want to know if they see me as a person, not a purse. Ruth hesitated. "You could transition out slowly, appoint a general manager, hand things over time." "No." I said it with a firmness I didn't even know I had. "Gradual gives them time to adjust, to manipulate, to guilt trip. I need it to be clean. I need to disappear from their economy before I disappear from this world entirely." The silence between us held weight. "I'll need confidentiality," I added. "No one can know until the sale is finalized. Not Jenna, not Clay, not the staff. No one." She nodded. "Of course. I know just the broker to start with. We'll need to prepare your books. Look at assets, liabilities. I've already started gathering everything I said," sliding a folder across the table. Her fingers grazed the manila edge, and then she looked up at me. "You really are serious?" I leaned back in my chair, the steel in my spine finally matching the storm in my chest. I've never been more serious about anything. For years, I had been the quiet engine behind everyone else's life. I'd fixed the leaks, patched the holes, rerouted the energy whenever something failed, and no one had noticed, because I made it look effortless. But it wasn't effortless. It was exhausting. And for what a child who forgot how to call unless she needed something, a son-in-law who called me mom only when his business was on the brink. No more. Ruth spent the next hour walking me through legal options, buyer strategy, timelines. She estimated it would take 3 to 6 months to sell completely, depending on interest. She promised discretion, thoroughness, and dignity. As I left her office, the late afternoon light caught the gold lettering of my name one last time. Margaret Ellis, founder and CEO. It used to mean pride. Now it just felt like a mask I was finally ready to take off. I stood there on the sidewalk, the autumn wind picking up just enough to lift my scarf, and I thought not about Jenna or Clay or even the money. I thought about freedom, about what it might feel like to finally live a life that wasn't tied to anyone else's comfort. And for the first time in years, I looked forward to finding out. I always thought letting go would feel like falling. That the moment I started pulling away, I'd feel guilt rush in that same maternal instinct that had kept me tethered to Jenna's needs, Clay's problems, everyone's comfort but my own. But the truth, letting go, didn't feel like falling. It felt like rising. Once Ruth began the process of listing my business for sale, I turned my attention to the threads that still kept Jenna and Clay quietly bound to me. Because make no mistake, they didn't just ask for help over the years. They had built their entire adult lives around the assumption that I would always say yes. It had been subtle at first, a few extra checks for college books, a co-signed loan here, a down payment there. Then over time, I became part of the infrastructure of their lives, silent, invisible, automatic, but not anymore. The first call I made was to Clay's landscaping company. "Hi, Clay." I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I wanted to give you a heads up that I'll be putting the maintenance contracts for my commercial properties out for bid. He hesitated. Sorry, what I've decided to get some new quotes, I said. Reassess budget priorities now that I'm making changes. There was a long pause, then a nervous chuckle. We can lower our rates if you need. No problem at all. It's not about rates, Clay. I just want to explore some options. I hung up before he could start pleading. Then I called the handful of small clients I'd referred to Jenna over the years for part-time bookkeeping. Just a heads up, I told each one, I'll be winding down referral arrangements over the next 60 days. You'll want to begin looking for another bookkeeper. I was polite, professional, emotionless, and with every word, I felt lighter. That evening, my phone rang. Jenna. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again. By the third call I picked up, Mom, why is Mrs. Patterson saying you're no longer referring me clients? I'm simplifying my business operations, I said, calmly. Just restructuring things before retirement. But Mom, I need those clients. That's most of my income. I'm sure you'll find other opportunities. You're very capable. There was silence on the line. You've been acting strange, she said finally. Is something going on? I'm just busy with some business matters, I replied. That's all. It was the first time in my adult life that I didn't explain myself to Jenna, and it felt incredible. There was no yelling, no slam of emotions, no great confrontation, just a quiet shift in gravity, and I was no longer the center that held their orbit together. Over the next week, I kept dismantling the dependencies. I stopped paying the auto-renewal on the landscaping contract. I removed the automatic transfer that covered a portion of their mortgage. I reviewed the accounting software and canceled the access Jenna had to my older client files. Piece by piece, I was reclaiming my boundaries. And each action was a sentence I'd never had the strength to say before. You're going to have to stand on your own now. Jenna's text grew shorter, more frantic. Mom, can we talk? Clay's worried. I don't understand what's happening. Are you mad at us? But I wasn't mad. I was done. Done being the invisible engine behind their lives. Done being the woman they only called when something broke. Done being Mom only when it was convenient for them to need something. I didn't owe them my labor anymore. I didn't owe them my wallet. And for the first time in decades, I realized I didn't even owe them an explanation. One morning, Jenna called as I was walking down to the barn to check on the irrigation report, a task I used to delegate. I picked up on the fifth ring. Mom, Clay says you stopped the ACH transfer on the house. Was that a mistake? No, I said. It was intentional. There was a beat of stunned silence. Okay, well, what are we supposed to do now? I'm sure you'll figure it out. Wait, Mom. Are you trying to teach us a lesson or something? I paused, looked out across the frosted pasture. The air was cool and still. No Jenna. I'm just trying to live my life. Then I ended the call, and that was the turning point. Not the brunch, not the flower, but that moment where I realized I didn't need to defend my freedom to anyone. Because I had earned it, I had already paid the bill, and now it was time for someone else to carry their own weight. The thing about silence is that it doesn't mean nothing is happening. In the weeks that followed my quiet, untangling, canceling contracts, ending referrals, shutting off the financial faucets, I knew something was brewing beneath the surface. Jenna stopped texting for small favors. Clay didn't call once about his trucks or contracts. The quiet wasn't peace, it was pressure. And eventually, pressure finds a crack. It came on a Tuesday. I had just left Ruth's office after reviewing the final draft of the business sale. A reputable consulting firm had made an offer. It was more than fair, and I was ready, truly ready to sign. The weight on my chest had lightened with every clause Ruth read aloud. For the first time in decades, I felt like my life might actually belong to me. That feeling lasted 15 minutes. As I was stepping into my truck, my phone rang. Caller ID, my home number, which didn't make sense because I wasn't home. I answered. Hello, a man's voice. Mrs. Ellis. This is James Morrison from Morrison & Associates. I just wanted to follow up on our earlier call about the acquisition of Ellis Agricultural. My blood ran cold. I'm sorry I said carefully. What call? There was a pause on his end. I spoke to your assistant. She said I could go over some of the due diligence questions directly with her. She gave me this number to confirm details. I froze. My assistant had retired 4 years ago. There was only one person with a key to my house who knew where I kept my business papers, who could answer that phone and pretend she had authority. Thank you, Mr. Morrison, I said, my voice sharper now. Please direct all future communication through my attorney, Ruth Haynes, and kindly disregard whatever my assistant said. I hung up. My hands trembled as I turned the ignition. The drive home was a blur, just fence posts, dirt roads, and a red-hot mix of fury and heartbreak climbing up my spine. I knew what I was about to walk into. I just didn't know how much it would hurt. I pulled into the driveway and saw Jenna's SUV parked crookedly beside the porch. I walked in without knocking. The front door was slightly ajar. Jenna, no answer. I moved toward the study and stopped. She was sitting in my chair, surrounded by open folders, financial statements, signed documents, and drafts of the sale. She looked up when I entered, caught mid-rummage guilt flashing across her face, before being replaced by something else. Defensiveness, entitlement, fear dressed as concern. "Mom," she said quickly, "we need to talk." "I'd say so," I replied, stepping inside, my eyes scanning the mess, looking for something. She gestured to the stack of papers. "You're really selling the company." I walked over, collecting the documents silently one by one, placing them back into their proper folders. "These are private business matters," I said. "Private," she snapped. "Mom, this affects all of us. Clay's business depends on your contracts. My clients come from you. Our house, the mortgage. How could you do this without talking to us?" I stopped, looked her in the eye. "Actually, Jenna, I can sell my business without consulting anyone. It's mine, built by my time, my energy, my sacrifices." She blinked, stunned for a moment. "But what about the family?" I tilted my head, voice cool. "What about our family?" She floundered. "We've always been close, haven't we? I mean, you've always helped us." I just thought I cut her off. Calm sharp. "Did you help yourself to my phone too? To my office? Did you pretend to be my assistant and speak to a buyer about confidential legal matters?" The color drained from her face. I thought you were at a meeting. I just came by to water your plants, and I don't have plants that need watering, Jenna." She folded her arms, voice rising. "Okay, fine. I was looking for tax forms for Clay, and when the phone rang, you answered it like you worked for me." I stepped closer. "So tell me, Jenna, am I your mother, or am I just your bank?" The silence between us was instant and thick. She opened her mouth, then shut it, then looked at the floor. "I didn't mean to upset you," she muttered. "It's just, if you sell, we lose everything." "No," I said, quiet but steady. "You lose everything you were never entitled to, and I finally get something I've never had." "What's that? Freedom?" She tried again. "Is this about Mother's Day?" "That stupid flower," I nearly laughed. "No, Jenna, it's not about the flower. It's about years of being invisible unless you needed something. Years of being called only when a bill was due or a deal needed closing. Years of watching you give Sylvia your affection and me your invoices." Her voice cracked. "I love you, Mom." I looked her straight in the eye. Do you love what I can do for you?" She didn't answer, because we both knew. Jenna didn't say anything for a long time after I asked her the question. "Do you love me, or do you love what I can do for you?" She stood frozen in the center of my study eyes, flicking from the files on the desk to my face, searching maybe for an answer, maybe for a script she didn't have anymore. The silence stretched between us like a fault line, raw and jagged. Finally, she whispered, "Mom, what do you want me to do?" And for the first time in over 3 decades, I didn't hear a daughter. I heard a child lost, unmoored. I looked at her not with anger, not even with judgment, just clarity. I want you to figure out who you are, I said, when I'm not funding your life. She flinched. It landed harder than I expected, but it was the truth. I wasn't punishing her. I was finally stepping out of the way and letting her walk on her own, even if that meant she had to fall first. This isn't revenge, I added softer now. This is release. Jenna stared at me like I was someone she'd never really seen before. And maybe she hadn't. She had known the mom who picked up every late-night call, the mom who showed up with checkbooks and casseroles, the mom who co-signed every dream and paid for every failure. But she didn't know this woman, the one who was tired, the one who wanted a life, the one who had stopped mistaking generosity for love. Jenna sank down into the chair across from me. Her hands were shaking. I didn't realize how much you were holding. I smiled sadly. That's because I never let you see it. I thought protecting you meant keeping you blind to the cost. She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. I don't know what to do, she admitted. Clay's business is barely holding on. We're behind on the mortgage. I don't have enough clients to cover groceries, and the kids need braces. I held up a hand. Jenna, I'm not here to solve that anymore. I did that for far too long, and it didn't help you grow. It helped you stay small. That landed too. She blinked like she'd been slapped, but she didn't argue. She couldn't. The truth was standing too tall now. You could have warned me, she said quietly. Prepared me. I exhaled. I could have, and maybe I should have, but if I gave you time, you would have tried to fix it the only way you know how, by talking me out of it, by crying, by making promises you never meant to keep. I needed you to face the reality without the safety net. Her face crumpled a bit. She was trying to hold herself together, but the cracks were showing. I feel like I'm losing everything, she whispered. I looked her in the eyes. Maybe you are, but maybe what you're losing needed to go, so you can find something real, something that's yours. She sat there crying quietly now, not the performative kind of crying, not the convince mom to change her mind kind, but the kind that comes when you finally realize the floor beneath your feet was never yours to begin with. I don't know how to do life without your help, she said through tears. I know, I replied, and that's exactly why I have to stop giving it. For so long I thought love was giving without limit, that mothers were supposed to bleed so their children never scraped a knee. But all I had done was build a cage made of comfort and locked both of us inside. Jenna wiped her eyes with the sleeve of the sweatshirt she used to wear in college, the one I had washed 100 times. What if I fail? I gave a half smile, then fail, and learn, and rise, and finally know what it feels like to do something on your own. She looked at me like she was seeing that possibility for the very first time, not with excitement, but with fear, the kind that comes when the training wheels come off and the road suddenly feels wider than the world. She stood slowly, pausing at the door. Her voice was hoarse. Are you really selling the business I already signed the intent? I said. The sale closes in 2 weeks. She nodded once, as if accepting the sentence. But before she left, she turned back and said, I'm scared, Mom. I nodded. So was I, for 30 years. And then she left, not storming, not shouting, just quietly walking out of a life she thought would always be waiting for her. And for the first time, I didn't feel like chasing her, because I wasn't responsible for holding her anymore. 2 weeks later, I handed over the keys. The sale was final. Ellis Agricultural Solutions, the business I had built from sweat, faith, and far too many sleepless nights, now belonged to someone else. A larger firm based out of Boise was absorbing the company, promising to keep most of the staff, promising to honor my legacy. I didn't care about the promises, because for the first time in over 3 decades, I wasn't thinking about what I had built. I was thinking about what I had survived, and about the life I was finally going to live. I packed light. I left the big house behind, too many rooms filled with echoes and expectations. I donated most of the furniture, boxed up a few keepsakes, and brought only what mattered: Harold's old gardening gloves, a set of ceramic mugs we'd bought on our honeymoon, and a quilt my mother had stitched when Jenna was born. And I moved to a small lakeside cottage in northern Idaho, a modest place with blue shutters and a creaky porch swing, nestled under tall pine trees with a clear view of the water. No doorbell, no mortgage, no strings. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. And more importantly, it wasn't a shrine to sacrifice. It was a canvas for rediscovery. I didn't tell Jenna where I went, not out of spite, but because for once I wanted to build something that didn't exist for someone else's comfort. The first morning in my new home, I woke to the sound of birds and nothing else. No inbox, no employees, no unpaid favors, just silence, the good kind, the kind that feels like possibility. I took a walk down to the dock with my coffee in hand, breathing in air that felt cleaner than I remembered. The lake was still, reflective, like it was holding space for the next version of me. And in that stillness, I made a few decisions. First, I called Ruth and set up a trust for my grandchildren, Tommy and Sarah. The money would be there for them when they turned 18, tuition, travel dreams, whatever they needed, but it would go directly to them. No parental access, no manipulation, just a quiet, private act of love that wouldn't be used to buy influence. Then I did one final thing. I paid off Jenna and Clay's mortgage, not as a gift, not as a gesture of reconciliation, but as closure. They now owned their house free and clear, but they also understood there would be no more deposits, no more bailouts. It was the last check I'd ever write in their names. I didn't tell them. Ruth handled the paperwork. It was cleaner that way, and more honest. The kindest goodbye is sometimes the one that needs no ceremony. And after that, I started doing things I had never had time for. I signed up for a pottery class at the local community center, planted lavender and tomatoes in the tiny backyard garden, drank red wine on the porch with my neighbor Susan, who invited me over like I had always belonged. I joined a book club too, nothing fancy, just 5 women in folding chairs talking about fiction and feeding each other blueberry pie, and I laughed, real full-belly laughter, the kind that felt like it came from a much younger woman, one I hadn't been in a very long time. I even cried sometimes, quiet, strange tears that came not from sadness, but from release, from letting go of decades of guilt and overfunctioning and constantly trying to prove I was enough. Because I was enough. I always had been. I just hadn't known it through all the giving. And in that healing silence, I finally understood something I had never put into words before. I thought the weight was love, but it was enabling. It was the most painful and liberating realization of my life. Harold used to say I had a hard time sitting still, that I only rested when the world around me was satisfied. I used to laugh at that. Now I see he was right, because sitting here in a home that nobody else depends on, surrounded by books I actually want to read and soil, I finally have time to tend. I've never felt more alive. I don't know what the future holds. I imagine Jenna will reach out again one day. Maybe when she's ready. Maybe when she understands the difference between love and leverage. Maybe when she realizes that boundaries aren't rejection, they're respect. But for now, I don't wait for her call. I water my garden. I glaze clay bowls. I wave to the mailman. I sleep through the night. This life, this small, beautiful, simple life was waiting for me all along. I was just too busy holding up everyone else's to see it. By the time the leaves had turned gold and the lake was beginning to freeze around the edges, the silence from Jenna had become part of the landscape. 6 months, not a phone call, not a text, not even a forwarded meme. And though I'd grown used to her absence, I'd be lying if I said I never wondered. Not wondered where she was, but who she was now, without the scaffolding I'd unknowingly built around her life for decades. Some nights I'd sit on the porch, wrapped in Harold's old flannel jacket, watching the moon ripple across the lake, and I'd ask the wind a question I already knew had no answer. Did she finally learn to stand, or just fall deeper in the space I used to fill? Then one morning something changed. The mail came late that day. I heard Susan across the lake call out to her dog the geese overhead, the usual rhythm of life. But something was different. At the bottom of the stack of bills and flyers was an envelope with my name written in a hand I hadn't seen in a long time. Not a rushed signature, not a scribbled shopping list. It was careful, thoughtful, weighted. It was from Jenna. My hands trembled a little as I opened it, like they weren't sure if they were ready. Maybe I wasn't either. The letter began simply, "Dear Mom, I've been trying to write this for months, but every time I started I kept hearing my old voice, the defensive one, the one that made excuses, the one that hoped you'd fix everything if I just said the right thing. I don't want to write from that voice anymore." I sat down at the kitchen table, the morning sun slanting across the wooden floor, and kept reading. She told me everything. How she and Clay had divorced 2 months after the business sale went through. How his company had gone under. How he blamed everyone but himself. How she had filed for bankruptcy, moved into a 2-bedroom rental with the kids, and taken a job as a school secretary. She didn't complain. She didn't plead. She just told the truth. "It's been the hardest year of my life, Mom," she wrote, "but also the most honest. For the first time, I had to figure out what it means to be a grown woman without your safety net, without the illusion that everything would magically be okay because you were always there to clean it up." She said she never realized just how much she had leaned on me, how love in her mind had become synonymous with "Mom will fix it," and how my silence forced her to hear her own voice for the first time. And then came the sentence that cracked me open like a shell. "You weren't punishing me, Mom. You were freeing us." I put the letter down and covered my mouth with both hands. Tears didn't fall right away. They rose slowly, like something ancient was being released, something I hadn't even known I was still holding. She continued, "I've made so many mistakes, and I know I hurt you. That flower god, Mom, I think about it every day. I still have it. It's sitting on my kitchen windowsill now, not as a trophy, as a reminder of what happens when we forget that people aren't just what they give. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a response. I just needed to tell you I finally see it, all of it, and I'm sorry." She signed it with love, not obligation, not desperation, just love, honest and raw. I sat for a long time after finishing the letter. The wind picked up, brushing the trees outside the window like a hand through hair. The daisy she mentioned plastic ridiculous and now suddenly sacred sat where she'd said it would, catching sunlight in a small act of penance. I reached for a pen and began to write a reply. I thanked her. I told her the letter meant more to me than she would ever know. I told her that watching her finally stand on her own had been painful but necessary. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Because some wounds, no matter how honest the apology, still need time to fully close before they can be reopened. Some bridges have to be rebuilt, not repaired, and some relationships, especially the ones bound by blood and bruised by expectation, need space before they can be reborn in truth. Some relationships need space before they can be rebuilt on truth. I folded the letter, placed it in the drawer beside my reading chair. Not locked away, just waiting. And then I made myself tea and went to the dock and let the wind carry away something heavy I'd been holding on to for far too long. It's strange how light a life can feel when you finally stop carrying what was never truly yours. These days I wake up with no one else's schedule in mind, no budgets to balance for someone else, no contracts to review for someone else's dream, just the sound of birds outside my window, the soft hum of the lake, and the gentle rhythm of a life that finally belongs to me. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter. I'm just free. Free from the need to prove my worth through sacrifice. Free from being needed only when I'm useful. Free from the lie that love has to cost you everything to be real. I think back to that flower, sometimes the plastic daisy Jenna gave me. It still sits in a drawer now, not as a wound, but as a marker. A moment that forced me to wake up to choose myself for once. And I wonder, what would you have done if you were in my shoes After decades of giving, of raising, of carrying, would you have drawn the line? Have you lived through something like this? If this story touched you in any way, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop the name of your city or country in the comments below. Let's see just how far a quiet story about truth, boundaries, and love can reach. Because here's what I've learned. Love isn't measured by the size of the gift, but by the presence we offer, the attention we give, the respect we show even in silence. If someone loves you only when you're giving, they were never loving you to begin with. And if you've spent years trying to earn someone's affection, maybe it's time to stop. You don't need to buy love. You just need to belong to yourself first. Thank you for being here with me. And wherever you are tonight, may you know the quiet power of saying no and the freedom that waits on the other side. There's something quietly tragic about how easily we blur the line between love and obligation, especially for women. We're taught that giving without limits is noble, that sacrificing without acknowledgement is what makes a good mother, a good partner, a good human. But at what cost? Margaret's story shook me because it holds a mirror to something many people carry in silence, the exhaustion of being everything for everyone, while no one truly sees you. Her journey reminds us that enabling is not the same as loving, that sometimes helping too much is how we prevent people from ever learning how to stand. And worst of all, we begin to vanish piece by piece until all that's left is a plastic daisy and a hollow thank you. I believe the greatest rebellion in a world that praises self-sacrifice is to choose yourself, to say no, to walk away from relationships built on convenience, not care. That isn't selfish, it's sacred. Margaret didn't stop loving her daughter. She just stopped funding a dynamic that kept them both small. And in doing so, she reclaimed her dignity, her peace, her life. So I ask you honestly, have you ever given so much that you forgot who you were? What boundaries would you draw if you truly believed you were worthy of more? Tell me below your thoughts, your stories, your city. Let's open a conversation that so many of us have been afraid to start. Until now.